brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
I do believe it is definitely sippin' time. Welcome to the Sips episode, where everything good in life is worth discussing. We are the best thing on at 2 a.m., and we thank you for choosing to listen to us instead of Celestial Melodies of the Lute with Demetrio Papados. Opa! I'm one of your hosts here at the table, good old boy Mike. Joining me is good old boy Jason.
Good to be here.
Good old boy Harmeet.
Wonderful day to be alive.
And Made Man Bob.
Good to be here as always.
Now, Bob and Harmeet are joining us for the Bourbon Mafia, which we'll learn a little bit more about at the end of the show again today. This episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes is sponsored by Fine Spirits. Check out the Enomatic machines to sample great products by the glass, including great selections of bourbon and whiskey. You can reach them online at www.finespirits.net. I keep on wondering what it would be like for those, people at the Enomatic machines. It's like, oh, look, Helga, if you press the button, it spits out wine into the glass.
That's what I deal with every day.
I know.
Half is spit out wine, the other half spit out whiskey.
Oh, this is very good wine.
The greatest machines ever.
I have like these little old ladies in my head using those. Anyway, so... Well,
sober people will press the buttons and forget to put the glass underneath.
So they've failed the basic skill requirement, huh? So there you go. Well, our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee, and apparently I can't pronounce anything. Today we're covering a private bottle or independent bottling company, the Classic Cask, and today we have some really great products that we're going to get to over. We'll actually spend a moment to discuss the variation in distribution and then charge right into these products today as we'll be tasting and rating them. I'm going to maintain my track record of pretty much butchering the pronunciation of these, and then everyone else is going to correct me, right?
And the pronunciation of the word pronunciation.
Right, probably. See, I'm going to at least maintain consistency.
Maybe the pronunciation of distilled spirit.
Right, correct. I completely butchered at least 4 or 5 things already. I probably didn't say Enomatic correctly either, so.
Can you say I was Zay? Okay, then you're good.
Well, so we have several products that we're going to go over today, and here's that list. It's Mortlach 11. Wow, no correction. Awesome.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to just give myself a round of applause. I'm just getting ahead of myself. All right, here I go. Bunnahabhain 22 year.
Opa.
Oh, there they go. I got that one right. Okay. Bowmore 11 year. Ooh, they're not correcting me. This is good. Glen Keith, an 11 year, and Glenloussie, a 21 year Scotch, are the products that we're going to go over for today. And I got through those after probably 20 hours with my diction coach for this week. So, well, I've asked Bob to cover some background on independent bottling in general. So, Bob, take it away.
The world of independent whiskey bottling companies can seem confusing, especially when in your whiskey journey. However, a few pieces of basic information can help. This opens up a huge new corner of the industry and offers many more products to choose from and taste. Essentially, these companies buy casks from the distilleries or send them empty casks to be filled and stored and then choose which cask and when to bottle and release them. The final product has all the original distillery character, but is also completely unique. The independent bottler may release whiskeys of different ages to that of the original distillery's whiskeys or finish the spirit in different casks. Quantities of some releases could be as low as they may choose just to release a single cask, with the number of bottles being dependent on the size of the cask. Independent bottled whiskeys generally offer good value for the money. especially when considering the rarity of the liquid, and can be found in most specialist whiskey retailers, including fine spirits of Cooper City. The choice of different independent bottlers is staggering, and the amount of products that they produce is highly diverse. Harmeet, what are some of those companies?
Well, thanks for giving me this task. These are a lot of companies. There's a lot of information here, and let's do it alphabetically. I think that's how we have it set up. Let's do.
Is that a basic skill requirement as well, Harmeet?
Yeah. If you put the stuff into a spreadsheet and you say sort, it's done for you. You don't have to think.
I know. Such a difficult thing for me to get to maintain. Well, let's hear about them.
Good skills. Ede Rattray or Rattray. You can beat me on that one. I'm not sure how to pronounce them. I don't actually have any whiskeys.
I'm not going to let that curveball hang.
Rattray was founded in the 1860s by Andrew Dewar and William Rattray. And he was known as Dewar Rattray. Now it's A.D. Rattray. They are independent bottlers, and I don't really know any of the brands that they cask, but supposedly they have some good reviews. The next one is Douglas Lang, which I'm more familiar with. That was started back in 1948 by Frederick Douglass Lang. They also put out great whiskeys like the Old Particular Range and Big Pete and the King of Scots blend. Recently, however, the sons of Douglas Lang, Dougie Jr. Frederick and Stuart? So Frederick Jr. and Stuart, they split up. So we've got Douglas Lang and now Hunter Lang. We'll have that one later. But going alphabetically, we have Duncan Taylor. That's one you may have heard of as well. They started in the 1930s, and they do a lot of export for the USA. Duncan Taylor has the largest privately held collection of rare casks in the world, they say. This is according to their PR people.
I'd like to be in that room.
Yeah, they have about 200 whiskeys a year they produce. And one of the ones that you probably know is the award-winning Big Smoke. And then we've got Gordon and MacPhail. These guys put a whole bunch out as well. They're in Elgin. They were started in the 1890s. They have a huge catalog of whiskeys they put out.
I see a lot of them on the shelf here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're the largest independent bottlers in Scotland with over 300. And they also own Bunnahabhain Distillery. Did they own another distillery? Does anyone know? I think they bought somebody else besides Bunnahabhain as well.
Yeah, I believe they do. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, but these guys put out some good quality stuff. They're when we get to the retail portion, I know some more of their things. And what else do we have? There's pages of this. Oh, back to Hunter Lang. Hunter is the newest indie distiller. Again, split off from Douglas Lang. And they have the Old Malt Cask and Old Rare. And Stuart has a new venture by his two sons, Andrew and Scott, and they're putting out the Imperial 18-year-old Classic Malt now. See, the other thing that you that we count as private bottling is retailers. A lot of the whiskey specialist retailers in the UK are doing their own private bottlings and selling them. Didn't you guys did a private bottle show, right? Or private cask for American whiskeys. That's kind of similar. So the Whiskey Exchange puts out one, Master of Malt, the Berry Brothers and Rudd, they do theirs. The Royal Mile Whiskey shop, they have their own. And I don't know, Maison du Whiskey. I don't think I've heard of them. And Milroy's of Soho I've heard of, and they're doing a single cask range. But the people in New York, who is it? Park Avenue Liquors does it a lot. Even Fine Spirits did a couple of those. And then you've got people like the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, whom I love. The Scotch Malt Whiskey Society was started in '83, and so it's basically a private club. You can't buy their whiskeys generally in a retailer. You have to join them. And they bottle between 150 to 200 casks a year in Edinburgh. And the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society have members' rooms in Edinburgh and London. You can stop by when you're a member. And they have branches in Asia, Australia, and Europe. And in the U.S., their main office is not even 10 miles from my shop in Sunrise, Florida.
It's a mile from my house. I'm so happy.
And you know now where Bob's problem comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So going down the list again, Signatory. These guys, I know in their older bottlings, they have a very very I can't think of the word now. It's easy to see spot their stuff on the shelf. It's in a silver tin with this Signatory.
Their logo's pretty.
Logo's huge, yeah.
Yeah, and I see a lot of this on the shelf here in the U.S. as well. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of Signatory.
So they're easy to find. They put out about 50 different ones, and they have three main ranges. They have a cask strength, they have a non-chill filtered, and they also own Edradour in the Highlands. They opened it in 2002, or they bought it in 2002. And then there's Weems Malts. These guys I haven't seen in Florida. They put out a few. There's a gin they put out, and they have brands from Australia and France, and they're all owned by the Weems family. And are they from? Where are they from? Fife? Is that it?
Yeah.
And they also produce stuff with estate-grown barley, which is very rare, far and few between. And then we have got William Cadenhead. Cadenhead you'll find a lot, but all over the United States as well, but I haven't seen any in Florida, that one. That's Scotland's oldest independent bottling company.
I've seen it as some tastings, but I've only seen a cognac of theirs available here in the States. So, but I do know that it is available at some tastings, yeah.
They started in the 1800s as well, 1842, and they were family-owned until the 70s. So those are some of the ones that are out there now. And they also own Springbranch in Campbelltown now.
Well, Jason, this really strikes me as really creating a lot of, possible brand confusion for consumers. Mm-hmm. Do you think that is the case at all? I mean, even as much as I knew about a lot of these independent bottlers, I even think it's a very difficult landscape to get through. Do you find any confusion for the average consumer?
There's a lot of confusion. I mean, even someone like me who consumes a lot, it's confusing for me. You could go to a store and find about 30 or 40 different versions of one type of scotch on the shelf, and they're all, very similar in age, but they're all different colors. There's not a lot of information because a lot of bottlings are one-offs. So yeah, it can get very, very confusing. It's hard waters to navigate through. So I know that you and Harmeet kind of both work a lot of the retail sector and see a lot of things. Do you see that retailers actually stock both the brand name as well as the independent bottling label? Yes, they do. Now I would say that most retailers keep the brand name more than the independent bottlers, especially in our region. A lot of those independent bottlers are. Somebody will come in, they want to have a bunch of different scotches in their house, or they have a scotch room, and they'll put in special orders for some of these private bottlings. But, the retailers do stock a lot of both. But like I said, the brand names is usually what you find more than the independent bottling.
I wonder if they put them side by side, kind of like Walgreens does, like the private store brand and then the name brand right beside it.
And a lot of people do. You kind of go both ways. So like there could be like a Macallan 25 and there could be an independent bottling of Macallan 25 and they'll be right next to each other.
Wow.
And then some stores will actually put all the independent bottlers together on their own section to kind of like try to stop the confusion. Because a lot of people will pick up, an independent bottling, and I'm using Macallan 25 as the example, and they're expecting the same thing that they get out of a normal brand name Macallan 25, but they're very drastically different a lot of the time. So,
well, Harmeet, you see a lot of this play out right there in the store. I'm curious, what are the choices that you make both in shelf management as well as how do you see consumers kind of navigate some of this space?
Well, we do we do a little bit of both, just like Jason was saying. And you try to keep them by price as well. You can't put an independent bottler, 25-year-old or 21-year-old Macallan right next to the original stuff, because for whatever reason, Macallan is selling for astronomical prices, and for a third that, you can get a 25-year-old by a Spey malt. Let's say that's Gordon and MacPhail. I think they put out Spey malt. They saved Macallan's bacon a couple 100 years or 100 years ago when Macallan was going to go out of business. So they are allowed to buy Macallan and do a private bottling of it. And Macallan tells them that they have to use 100% sherry casks and all that stuff. So they don't make it drastically different, but it's close enough, and it's less than a third the price. So I don't put those on the shelf next to each other often.
Wow, that's a major price variation for sure. Is that 30% spread kind of a common, or does it even get broader, than 30% spread between the name
no,
brand
it's
and
300%. It's not 30%. It's 300.
Wow.
Yeah. This is that's on the very high end.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're let's take a Glenlivet 21. I've got a regular Glenlivet 21 right now in Florida, goes for close to $200, and a private bottler maybe about $20 to $30 less. And sometimes the private bottlers are more, because like a Signatory puts out an 11-year-old Kalila, which Kalila doesn't do, and it's much more expensive than their 10-year-old Kalila because of the rarity of that cask, and the flavors are phenomenal. And I have one of my favorites is a Gordon MacPhail put out cask strength Kalila, and it's a 10-year-old that goes for $100. Kalila doesn't even come close to that in price.
That does sound tasty.
Cap is amazing.
Well, it's interesting, conversation talking about the myriad of choices here, and how do the consumers navigate this, as well as the retailers really seeing, how people kind of respond to all this. Well, I want to kind of get to our products here today. We're let me check on some time here, see if we got time. No, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back, and then we'll charge right into some products. So we'll be right back in just 20 seconds. Hey, welcome back to Celestial Loot Classics with Dimitri. I mean, I would think that, people that like to hear loot music would want to learn about Scotch. So I'm thinking that we have close audiences, between the two shows. So
I think you might have to explain what a lute is.
We'll drink a lot of more Scotch. I'll tell you later, Jason. It's a guitar. Let's see. So we're definitely going to get right to our products today. Harmeet, you're going to get the honors of going over our SIPS ratings for today.
All right. Well, we'll start with rating number 1. Let me just preface this by saying last night my wife made me take her to a country music festival. And in honor of her, I'm going to do this like that. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
A little too close in character.
Sips rating number 2. Nice. But what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another, boy.
That's classified.
5 sips. Oh my. I was unaware anything could taste this good.
Oh my goodness!
Well, I think those folks are just a little too close to home for me, Harmeet. Were any of those folks arrested?
I'm surprised I wasn't. Seriously. We were on the party deck in the amphitheater. We had our own bar. And the fact that I'm here today is a testament to how much my wife dislikes me on Sunday.
Gravely underestimate yourself. She doesn't like you every day.
I'm just interested to see what Florida rednecks look like.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
right?
you're not.
Oh, come on. Florida rednecks? I mean, we got the Tennessee rednecks, but I mean, the Florida ones?
No, I'm quite certain you do not want to see that. Okay.
Do they go out and lasso some alligators?
Imagine people from Alabama with more gray hair. That's it. That's all you got to know.
Hey, I have been alligator hunting, okay? Come on.
He has a merit badge just for doing that. Well, let's get right into talking about some of the products we have today. I'm going to ask our hosts as we go through these products to introduce them, and then we're going to go around and taste and rate them. Up first, Bob is going to introduce Mortlach 11 year for us.
All right, the Mortlach 11. Again, it's 11 years old, distilled in 2002, bottled in 2014 by Classic Cask, one of the independent bottlers, and the one that we're tasting today. Color, light gold, on the nose, slightly smoky, a little bit of fresh fruit, melon, freshly baked bread, definitely a nutty aroma, a walnut or an almond. On the palate, again, very fruity, very up front and forward. Raisins, toffee, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of jam, slightly earthy. The finish had a very long finish, slightly oily in the good sense, mouth-coating feel to it. This is only a 92 proof. It drinks a good bit hotter than that. You'd think it was a little bit higher, maybe upwards of 100, but overall, a good solid dram. I gave it a 3.
A 3. How about that?
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again? Jason, what do you think about Mortlach 11 here?
I'm with him. I would give it a sips rating of a 3. I think it's a run-of-the-mill Scotch. I said it was, fairly light. It was slight peat, but not crazy peat. Like I said, just kind of run-of-the-mill, exactly what you would expect out of a Scotch.
Sips rating a 3.
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again? Harmeet, what do you think about Mortlach 11?
Well, I liked it more than you guys did. My notes here, I got baked apple on the nose, a little bit of plum, some brioche, and some gentle malt. I didn't get much of that peat you guys were talking about. Very, very little. Big fruit on the palate, less apple on the palate, more pears. And I got some golden raisin. I believe they call them sultanas in England. So golden raisin and pear. And I agree with Bob. It tasted hotter than 92, but the oiliness and the long, complex finish really overcame that, and I gave it a 4.
How about that?
Yeah, it had a very good finish.
Classified.
Let's keep a secret to ourselves. Pour me another. Well, my tasting notes off Mortlach 11, I wrote down as kind of a smoky, light. I thought it just had a hint of peat on it. A bit of some sweetness to it there. I thought it was just okay. I don't think there was anything good or bad really kind of happening with this. My sips rating for Mortlach 11 is a 3. Interesting. What was that again? Well, we're out of the chute with the first one there, so we'll keep on going around here. Next up is going to be Harmeet. He's going to cover Bunnahabhain 22.
So, Bunnahabhain, this 22-year-old was bottled in 2013. The notes from the distiller say the color is deep amber and the nose is sweet, earthy, with remarkably fresh. No one ever says remarkably fresh unless they're trying to sell it to you. Palate is, they say flavors of pear, cashew, anisette, and juniper, and they say the finish is refreshing yet well-rounded. And that's not what I got. It is a 22-year-old, and Bunnahabhain is the most lightly peated of the Islay whiskeys. So I wasn't expecting kick me in the face peat. But the color was off, which is it. I didn't get deep amber. It was a light straw. So I was like, are we drinking the same whiskey that we got the notes for?
Well, in fact, all of these are nearly the identical color, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will go with the sweet, earthy nose. I got a slight bit of smoke, which was refreshing. The peat came through on the finish of the palate. I didn't get the pear, but the cashews were there was really beautiful, nutty flavor to that. And there was some anisette. I didn't really get the juniper either. And the finish was good until the very end. It finished bitter for me, and I gave it a 2.
Wow, interesting.
Well, isn't that nice?
Nice, but what else do you have? Jason, what do you think about Bunnahabhain here?
My tasting notes was I thought it was a little grassy. It was definitely very light on the peat. And I'm going to go with Harmeet. The finish on it, it has a very spicy, bitter finish. Almost like the kind of like the bitterness of like a bitter chocolate, but not quite that heavy. I'm going to give it a sips rating of a 3.
3 as well. Interesting. What was that again? Bob, what do you think about Bunnahabhain 22?
On the palate, definitely just like Harm. I picked up the cashews, the nuts. I definitely picked up the anisette, the licorice, the light smoke, and as he said, Bunnahabhain is always one of the lighter Islay malts. Malty, a little bit of oak. I thought that it drank younger than a 22.
Good point.
It much younger than its age was showing. The finish, I actually like the finish. I like the spice in the end, and I gave it a 4.
Huh? Interesting.
That's classified.
Let's keep the secret to ourselves. Pour me another. Huh? Well, my own tasting notes here on Bunnahabhain 22. I actually wrote down deep peat, and that's a difference between big peat and deep peat. There was a layering component to this where, I really felt like the flavor itself was big, but peat can just overwhelm, the palate. And I don't know, that was the word that kind of struck me first was there was a depth, component of the peat here that I wasn't tasting everything else. And I actually forgot this was an Islay whiskey for a minute, and I should know. I mean, it's right there on the ocean. And it's very characteristic of some Islas, although I would say that when you think about some of the other Islay scotches, it does not have as much peat as you tend to think about, like from the Ardmores. Is it Ardmore? It's Ardmore, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are very, very peat. Those are big peat bombs.
Ardmore's on the ocean, too. It's Western Highland. It's not Islay.
Yeah. Or I'm thinking of Ardbeg. That's it.
Ardbeg.
I was thinking of Ardbeg. I'm sorry. I knew that's why it didn't sound right.
Lagavulin, another one.
Right, yeah. And those are big peat bombs, but this one is not. I felt like I really wanted to almost scrape my tongue. It felt like there was something that was stuck to it. And in order to it was chewy, maybe was the right way of describing it. But, the main thing I heard when I was having this is I heard the bagpipes a blowing there, wee laddie. It was just firing up. I hear Scotland just coming right over the hills, and it was flowing right over the tongue. And, you had all this peat and all this fine scenery. It was just wonderful. So my sips rating for the Bunnahabhain 22 is actually a 4 as well.
That's classified.
You too, broken inside.
Yeah, let's keep the secret.
I'm sorry.
I know, yeah. In my Scotch and my Irish just, blend together. So I know those are two completely different worlds.
Join the show, but
yeah, I know. Go ahead. I'll buzz myself. Wee laddie. You're just not even getting it right. All right, so let's keep on going right through some of these. Next up, Jason's going to cover Bowmore 11.
Okay, so the Bowmore 11 is distilled in 2001. It's bottled in 2013. The distiller notes, or bottler notes, as we should say in this segment, is mid-gold with green highlights for the color. I disagree. I think it's light straw, like we've said. I think most of the ones we're tasting today are light straw. The nose, they say creamy seaweed, smoke, and a nuttiness malt. The palate, they're saying clean with smoke and malt notes, and then the finish, long, smoky finish. The nose is definitely very smoky. You can definitely smell the malt in it. When you taste it, the thing I wrote and I underlined like 9 times was it was very smoky. I could definitely taste the smoke. It was almost like a cigar smoke. It had a little peppery to it. The finish that they said, the long finish, I completely agree with. I think it did have a long finish. I think that I had to go back to the water glass like 4 times to be able to taste the next couple scotches that we went to. And I would overall, if you're into the smokiness, I would give it a higher rating. Myself, I'm not into smoky that much, so I gave it a sips rating of a 3.
3. How about that? Interesting. What was that again? Bob, what do you think about the Bowmore 11?
Well, I've got to give them credit on the tasting notes that the producer puts out. The creamy seaweed, I absolutely picked that up immediately. The nuttiness, definitely picked that up. Obviously, it's a Bowmore, so there's smoke. Clean smoke, malt notes on the palate. Yeah, I mean, it's when you taste this, you know it's a Bowmore. You know what you're getting when you get it. Wonderful, long, lingering finish. Again, it's a peated whiskey. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. If you do like a good Islay, if you do like a good peated whiskey, you're not going to get much better than a Bowmore. I gave it a 4.
How about that?
That's classified.
Let's keep the secret to ourselves. Pour me another. And Harmeet, what do you think about the Bowmore 11?
I was really impressed by this. I thought it tasted older than 11 years. The color is right. The producer notes are dead on. Creamy seaweed, smoke, nutty maltiness. I love that all in all. When I added some water, the nose was even more interesting, and the palate was less interesting than the nose. I thought the nose was the blockbuster here. The finish was long and smoky, exactly like they say. And one thing about Bowmore, I never know how to say it. Buzz me, do it now.
We were waiting for that buzz. I wanted to say Bowmore also, so I don't know.
Go ahead.
But you know what?
The Q is
Japanese Suntory owns Bowmore, so I say go ahead and call it Bowmore. So Bowmore. And
buzz him now.
Yeah.
Buzz him now.
But
I think he hung out too much with the rednecks last night.
You should have used that one in our Japanese episode.
yeah. But Bowmore is known for this taste of violets and earthiness, and it's got to be the casks they use, because this didn't display any of this. And Classic Cask, chooses their own American hogsheads for these hogsheads to age this whiskey, and it wasn't. I don't think this was in sherry cask at all, right? There was no sherry. Who had the tasting notes for the
I
bottle?
don't know.
You don't know. They didn't use the same kind of casks,
No.
so there wasn't that characteristic, not just deep earthy violets that you get with most Bowmores. So I found this refreshing and really interesting, and I gave it a 5.
Wow, how about that?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good. Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, my own tasting notes here on Bowmore 11. I kind of wrote down it was middle of the road. I thought it was sweet. I thought that it was hitting a taste range that I thought would have a lot of wide appeal. It almost tasted like something that had been manufactured for a mass market. In fact, I wrote down the word mass market Scotch. I'm sure that's highly insulting to the producer of this, but
To me, I'm offended now. You gave it a 5, man.
I know. No, it is good. I think that it is the sweet essence that's coming off this, almost like picking up some apples. or something like that, kind of coming off this.
Same studio. Could I show that you probably picked the wrong glass up?
No, I did not. I'm quite certain of that. I did like this, and I do like the fact that I think that it's a great product that I think will appeal to a very broad range of people. This would be something that I would give to an uncle that doesn't really know a whole lot about Scotch. This might be a choice that I would give to maybe somebody that doesn't really drink a whole lot of Scotch. He's been pounding Johnny Walker and Fireball for the last 20 years. See how I slipped that in right there, Jason? Got that. So my sips rating. I mentioned your name in Fireball in like the same 30 seconds, man. So my sips rating for Bowmore 11 is a 3.
Interesting.
So a broad range of ratings there, and very different tasting notes, kind of all the way around. So I really enjoyed that. That's what I love about all four of us sitting here is that we never. Sometimes we have a very like or similar experience, but your palate can definitely drift, between these products as well. But I'm with Harmeet. I actually just picked up the wrong stupid glass, so.
That was dumb, and I'm not going to do it again.
Well, there's definitely something we need for this show, other than just some more Bowmore, and I definitely know what it is.
I have more cowbell, baby. Guess what? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
The lamest cowbell I could possibly find. All right, well, let's charge right into our next product, which Harmeet is going to introduce. It's the Glen Keith 11.
Glen Keith 11.
20.
It says 20.
Yeah, it's 20 here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, and I've
20.
said that all along. It is Glen Keith 20.
Yeah. It's like, see, I told you you're doing the wrong whiskeys.
Yep.
So
That
it's
was
a
dumb, and I'm
20-year-old
not gonna do
bottle
it
of
again.
2013. I'm going to read the producer notes, which I think I don't agree with, but I'm going to let you know what they said. The color is honey gold. I didn't find that. The nose, nuances of cherry cola, heather, and earthy tones. The palate has flavors of Earl Grey tea, and finish is long, smooth, and warming. Now, what I actually got, the color was pale straw, not honey gold.
Very pale straw, definitely.
Right. I did not get any cherry cola, but the heather and the earthy tones, yeah, dead on. Perfect. But what I also got was new leather. Not like saddle leather, not something, it's just like that new leather glove. I got that in there. And there was a touch of burnt sugar at the end as well. And on the palate, it wasn't Earl Grey tea, and I found that offensive. I like Earl Grey tea. This was black tea. This was tea, but it wasn't that. It was the same tannins that were giving that new leather smell or giving that tea, black tea on the palate. A little bit of honey came out with the water and some spice. And the finish was long. I wouldn't say smooth and warm, it was long. And I only gave it a 2.
Well, isn't that nice?
Fine. I can't believe you just pick one over the other. You know the difference between black tea and Earl Grey tea? You have no idea. What is tea to begin with? You are from the wrong country. You don't know anything about tea. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Don't you start talking about tea with me.
That's right.
Let me think. Orange Pico is the best damn leaf tea you can get. But this whole Earl Grey, that's not even tea. It's the oil of bergamot. That you did citrus in their tea. This all messed up. It wasn't there in the flavor.
So, Jason, you're up next. What do you think about the Glen Keith 20? I'm going to get it right this time. So,
I'm tasting it again right now. So, I think it's light, but the finish is very hot. I think this drink's hotter than the proof calls for. I'm with you with the... it's not Earl Grey tea. I think it's very darker than that. It's a lot heavier than that.
Fine. I hear you don't like black tea. I hear you.
And I will tell you that I reached for my water glass after this one. I was not a fan of it. I sloshed out my mouth just to get rid of the flavor. It kind of just stuck there.
I do not have a rating for that.
So I'm going to give it a sips rating of a 1. I was not a fan.
Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth. Didn't think that would be in this lineup. Good old boy Bob, Made Man Bob, I'm sorry. What do you think about the Glen Keith 20?
Well, I don't drink Fireball, so I drink Scotch. Yeah, I didn't pick up the Cherry Cola. I did pick up the Heather. I did pick up the Earth. Harm and I were discussing. I did pick up the New Leather. I picked up a faint molasses back end, not sweet, but the burnt sugar flavor. A little bit of the honey and spice in the back of the palate. A long finish, decent finish. I gave it a 3.
How about that?
Interesting.
And interesting, what was that again? In my own tasting notes here on the Glen Keith 20, I wrote down, what I wrote down and then what I tasted are something different. So I'm going to keep with what I actually had smelled a lot of rye, or just something that was very spicy and very peppery, very earthy. I actually wrote down the word bright. I really thought this was just something that was kind of amped up. It's been sitting in the glass here for a little bit, so it's caught some more air and oxygen. And I guess the thing that caught me is it has a lot more floral quality to it now that it's kind of been in the glass. And I didn't catch that on the nose earlier. So that peppery, rye thing that I caught when we kind of first poured that, I don't see that on the nose anymore. And it's a bit more approachable now. It's kind of been sitting there in the glass for a little while. I don't know, maybe an hour or something. It's been sitting here. I'm going to take another swig real quick. Yeah, that rye component is still there, and I know it's not rye. It just has that same essence to it. I know you guys are screaming on the other end. Every time please stop saying the word rye, Mike. But there's definitely some type of spicy, peppery thing there going for this. I actually like this, and the floral overtone to it, I think, has kind of brought this back around. I'm actually going to kick up my rating for this. I wrote down 3. I actually like it a lot better now. It's been sitting here, and I'm going to give it a 4.
That's classified.
So let's keep the secret to ourselves. Pour me another. So very interesting, kind of all the way around for that. Well, we've covered some products, and we're going to take a quick break. Jason's going to go over and pour some Earl Grey tea and Fireball together. Check that out. And we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. That last hit tune was called the Earl of Essex Galliard. I'll do it. On Celestial Loot Classics with Dimitri.
Isn't the Earl of Grey?
I know, yeah. Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. We have a Sips episode today. We're actually going over a series of products from the Classic Cask. Really interesting flight of products to talk about. We've been going through each one of these. We have one more product that we're going to go through here. It is the Glenloussie 21, and Jason's going to introduce this product for us.
Yeah, so this product is 21 years old. It was distilled in 1992 and bottled in 2013. So the Classic Cask notes on this product, it says color is 24 karat gold, and exactly. I mean, like all the other ones we've tried, it's definitely pale straw. They say the nose is tropical fruits and cotton candy, palette of flavors of licorice, faint smoke.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that button. You cannot use the word cotton candy and Scotch in my show, okay?
That dominate, it says the finish is smooth, semi-dry. So the one thing I do agree with is there's definitely faint smoke. There's definitely a lot of spice. The flavor of the licorice, I don't know if it's really licorice that I'm tasting. It's more of a bitter, earthy taste. I guess that's kind of licorice, but it didn't really get there for me. It's definitely very light on the smoke. It does have some sweet qualities to it. I think this is a solid 3 for me. It's nothing crazy special. It's not horrible. It's definitely palatable. But yeah, I'm going to give it a sips rating of a 3.
Interesting. What was that again? Bob, what did you think about the Glenloussie 21?
On the nose, I definitely did pick up the tropical fruit, and on the palate, the very faint smoke. You know, with a Glenloussie, you're not going to expect a heavy smoke. Spices, pepper, baking spice on the end, a slightly dry finish, but a decent finish. I gave it a 3.
Interesting. What was that again? Harmeet, what do you think about the Glenloussie 21?
I'm with you guys so far. Tropical fruit. I got papaya, banana. That cotton candy was a sweetness. I don't know if I'd call it cotton candy, but I've heard cotton candy is description for some Chardonnay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that so quick.
So when you're talking cotton candy, is it blue cotton candy or is it red cotton candy?
Blue cotton candy is an abomination upon us. Cotton candy.
It's creepy.
I agree. Creepy. That's a new tasting
food. It's creepy.
Blue cotton candy is clown hair.
Yeah. Or down here in South Florida, old lady hair.
Yeah.
We've made radio history once again, folks. If you're just joined us, we're talking about blue cotton candy and Scotch.
Don't eat blue food. That's just
And
so I got the tropical notes. There was a sweetness on the nose. The flavor was not licorice. There was a spice to it. The smoke was great. But it's faint. And I go with Bob, baking spices. You know, it's like a kind of blend of cinnamon, mace, and
clove.
Clove. The clove wasn't overpowering. It was interesting. And the finish was smooth and kind of drying, and I gave it a 3.
Interesting.
What was that again? Well, Harmeet, I want you to try and channel one of those individuals that you spent last evening with, and I'd like for you to do your best impersonation of them tasting the Glenloussie. I'm going to do that. I'm going to toss it to you after I finish mine. So, my own tasting notes here on the Glenloussie 21. I wrote down, it has what I, sometimes I read my own tasting notes, I'm like, I don't know what you meant, Mike. A very roundness to it. It still has that kind of rye spice or some pepper, kind of thing going on. Even as I tasted it again here in the glass. This was the only one I picked up any vanilla with. I thought it was a tad sweet. I thought the sweetness off this was not cotton candy. I'm not going to say that on my own show again. I actually wrote down honeysuckle because I thought there was a bit more of a floral component to it. It reminded me of a magnolia flower. Was kind of the floral component that was coming off this. So, a very interesting product. My sips rating for the Glenloussie 21 is going to be a 3. Interesting. What was that again? All right. Appearing now live on Sips, Suds, and Smokes is going to be good old boy Harmeet, channeling one of the individuals he met last night at the concert, reviewing Glenloussie 21. Take it away, good old boy Harmeet.
When my granddaddy would, take the tractor through the fields, and he might hit a log, and that log would fly through the air and splash into the pond, and water would come back from that splash of water and hit me in the face or in his face. That's my granddaddy's tale. I've lost the thread of this whole thing. I'm sorry, but that dirty water with that oak. This ain't no Evan Williams, my son. There's no sugar in here. Where's my Fireball? There is no cinnamon. There is no sweetness. This is Scotch. What the heck is this?
Oh, man, that was awesome. I'm telling you, that was just... I knew that there was a moment that you needed to exercise or have some exorcism of the full experience that you had last night. And I think that's going to help you to move on from that experiment.
And I was looking at her disapprovingly the whole night.
Well, just really great stuff all around. Let's wrap up our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and catch all of our episodes online as well on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host.
Oast?
Yeah, right.
Where's that buzzer?
Yeah, we're...
More Bunnahabhain at table 6. Where was I? Yeah, iTunes and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy this show on your phone. Just search for Sip, Suds, Smoke on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. Well, we love your feedback, and you can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every single day at SipSudsSmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Hey, if you're catching this show live in our regular order of broadcast, we'll have a contest to give away a full flight of tasting samples from this show, so you can taste exactly the same thing that we had on this show. We'll have a contest that will be announced on our Facebook page. It'll be pretty simple. You'll probably just have to do something rather unusual, take a picture of it, and send it to us on email. What are you thinking? I'm thinking a picture of blue cotton candy with Scotch. With a fireball chaser.
Thinking Jackass number 3.
Something like that. Well, we'll have a lot of fun with it. Just watch for our announcement on Facebook. It'll probably wrap up right around Thanksgiving. But if you're catching this show out of sequence, I hope you enjoyed it. And you'll catch some of these products online as well, or at your favorite retailer. Listen, do us a favor and tape this episode. More Bunnahabhain, table 3. Do a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a great big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. Do not rate any of my diction, okay? You suck.
Suck at Japanese.
Yeah, you suck very good. Hey, listen, this episode is Sip, Suds, and Smokes is sponsored by really great folks at Fine Spirits. Check out the Enomatic machines with Grandma Linda and sample some great products by the glass, including great selections of bourbon and whiskey. You can reach them online anytime at www.finespirits.net. Well, we've had a great time tasting these products, and Bob, I know that we were able to actually get these samples directly from the bottler themselves at Spirit Imports, and it was really great. I want to give them a shout out and a thank you, and I know you know them personally.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good friend of mine. And like I said, his office is about a mile from my house, so I spend as much time there as I can.
Well, I look forward to tasting more products from Spirit Imports, maybe on some future shows. So it was really great to have them here. So I know you guys hang out with the Bourbon Mafia as well. Tell our audience anything you'd like about the Bourbon Mafia.
We're a high-end group of bourbon aficionados who try to do as much as we can for the public through our charitable work. So you can check us out at bourbonmafia.org.
I think they're blue cotton candy aficionados secretly.
Let's be honest. They eat a lot of blue cotton candy and drink a lot of Fireball.
Boy, we could have probably used some.
Well, I want to thank my co-host for being here today. Made Man Bob, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
And good old boy Harmeet.
I don't have a tagline, but I'll come up with one.
I think you just did.
There you go. Well, good old boy Jason, thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
Well, this is good old boy Mike. Thank you once again for joining us, and to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.